There is a proposal to expand Amtrak train service to include cities in northeast Wisconsin, but not everyone supports that idea. Here's John Erickson reporting.
We're at Union Station in downtown Chicago, and this Amtrak train behind me is going to be heading north to Milwaukee. But what if it were to keep on going north, all the way to Green Bay, making stops in Fond du Lac, Oshkosh, and Appleton along the way? That's Amtrak's vision. We're talking to those who do and don't want it to become a reality. We're calling this a 360 report because, like many issues, there are more than just two sides. We're digging into multiple angles. A local tourism official, an Amtrak spokesman, a state senator representing downtown Green Bay, a Green Bay taxpayer who opposes the plan, a train shop owner with a longtime love of trains, and people at a Packers bar in Chicago. But we'll begin with Amanda Crowley, who grew up in Appleton. She lives in Chicago now and has a few options when she makes a trip back to the Fox Valley.
Sometimes I drive, but when I don't want to drive, it's a long way and the traffic's bad. I have taken the Amtrak to the thruway bus that meets up with the Amtrak.
Right now, Amtrak train service from Chicago ends in Milwaukee, but a proposal from Amtrak calls for the train to keep going north, stopping in Fond du Lac, Oshkosh, and Appleton before its final stop in Green Bay. Billions of dollars are available from the federal infrastructure law passed in 2021 for projects including new rail service.
For the first time in a long time, we're in a place where additional Amtrak service can be developed.
Federal money would pay for up to 80% of a project. The rest would need to come from somewhere else, like state, local, or private money, or Amtrak itself. The mayors of Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh, and the Fond du Lac city manager hope to join a federal program that would start the planning process for the route. They'll find out if the route is chosen in the second half of this year. If it happens, Crowley could stay in a seat like this when she wants to visit her parents. So you would love to be able to take the train all the way up from Chicago to Appleton?
Yes, I would take it all the time.
New train service to Green Bay would actually be a return to something old. On a day where walking leaves behind tracks in Green Bay, here's a part of the history of train tracks in the city, an old station downtown. The sign says that in the early 1900s, about 10 passenger trains a day came through here. An Amtrak spokesman says passenger train service to Green Bay ended in 1971. Today, only freight trains roll through. But across town, these passenger trains still run inside GB Train Shop. Owner John Melindy's shop is all about trains. He said the only time he remembers his dad ever playing with a toy,
well, I was about 5 years old,
was with a train set around a Christmas tree.
My grandfather wouldn't even let me have a chance. They were having so much fun and kind of became addictive after that. It's been a hobby since then.
So his response when I asked about the possible new train service to Green Bay might surprise you.
Trains for passengers as they are today are more of a novelty than a necessity.
He said if a commuter train on a reliable schedule could connect areas like Green Bay, Appleton, and Oshkosh, some of the traffic pressure on I-41 could be reduced. But then the man who owns a train shop said,
a simple connection to Milwaukee just to take some of the Amtrak trains, I don't believe is going to be successful because there just aren't that many people going.
Even so, he'd like to see the new route happen. But Green Bay taxpayer Elliot Christensen does not.
So I'm not a fan of the Amtrak expansion, only because our federal debt, we get federal money.
It's unclear what kind of state funding might be needed to run the train to Green Bay. The State Department of Transportation told me a study could help come up with an estimate. Last year, Wisconsin state funding for the Milwaukee to Chicago train was $3 million. An open question is whether Republicans who control the state assembly and Senate would support any state money for a train to Green Bay. We called Assembly Speaker Robin Voss's office about the potential train service to Green Bay and didn't hear back. Republican State Senator Eric Wimberger represents downtown Green Bay. I asked if he would support using state money for this service.
I don't know. I guess that's the short answer. I'd have to look at the outlays as to whether that's something the community would support if it's profitable. Enough people would want to take it.
Back here in the Windy City, if Amtrak train service begins from Green Bay to Chicago, Amtrak says that trip would take 4 hours and 20 minutes. Our ride down in the car took 3 hours and 5 minutes. An Amtrak spokesman says this conversation is about convenience and safety.
When my daughter was going to school in St. Louis, she had a car, but did we want her driving it back and forth between up here in the Chicago area and St. Louis? No. Her mother and I were much more comfortable, certainly in some times of the year than others, of her riding Amtrak trains between here and St. Louis. The same thing can apply between Green Bay and Chicago, Green Bay and Milwaukee for that matter.
Amtrak trains in Chicago come and go from Union Station. People could come from Wisconsin for business, to see a Broadway show, or shopping that's not available in Northeast Wisconsin, like American Girl Place along Michigan Avenue's Magnificent Mile. But we went to a neighborhood bar near downtown Chicago to talk about a reason to take a possible train trip to visit Green Bay.
For going for Green Bay games, it would be amazing to do that. Trying to go for a game now is a logistical nightmare, so having an Amtrak there would be perfect.
This is Will's Northwoods Inn, a Packers bar where these fans are always cheering.
So the original owner actually was born and raised in La Crosse. Everything on the walls is Wisconsin or Packers related.
Eric Dorich is from Wisconsin. He comes here for Packers games, hasn't been to a game at Lambeau in about 3 years. Would you go more, do you think, if that train did go all the way up to Green Bay?
Absolutely. I know I'd at least make 1 to 2 games a season. Love to do it, especially since I haven't been there in so long.
Getting visitors to Green Bay is part of Nick Meisner's job. He said more travel options could have a positive impact on tourism.
We would welcome, any mode of transportation to get them to Green Bay and to visit and extend their stay here.
So what about the timing? If this were approved tomorrow, when could the train end up rolling into Green Bay? An Amtrak spokesman says that it's really unclear right now, but that timeline is measured in years. In Chicago, John Erickson, NBC 26 News.